Coming up on Tech News today, Apple shows off a bunch of new stuff, including the future. Also, Samsung says it too has something to announce, but it won't release until next year. Equifax continues to not care at all about your security, and Google is in hot water with Yelp once again. All that and more coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit. Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1851, recorded Tuesday, September 12th, 2017.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Home plays a big role in your life. That's why Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. It lets you apply simply and understand the entire mortgage process fully so you can be confident that you're getting the right mortgage for you. Get started at rocketmortgage.com/TNT. Welcome to Tech News Today, where we flatten up the tech news, we spin it like a Frisbee, and hopefully you catch it. And if you don't, I don't know what happens.
Yep, you got to be really good at catching that flat Frisbee.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got. That's all I got. I'm not a Frisbee professional. I realize I look like one, but I only play one on TV.
You kind of do. I am not a Frisbee professional either. I am Megan Maroney.
And I'm Jason Howell. We got to start off big today, okay?
Mm-hmm.
As you probably already know, today was a big day for the smartphone world, with arguably one of, if not the largest players in the game, making a huge announcement. Of course, I'm talking about Samsung Electronics, who said that it has plans to finally launch its foldable smartphone product sometime next year as part of the Galaxy Note brand. Ko Dongjin, who's president of Samsung's mobile business, says the company is working to overcome some problems ahead of a public release, which could always shift if those problems become unsurmountable. But they didn't really give any word on what those problems actually are. I'm guessing because this is a completely different type of device, literally a folding screen that we've seen videos that Samsung has had at some consumer electronics shows. And it's a device, at least then, a few years ago, and I have a link to a video on YouTube that we've shown before that actually folds right up. The screen actually folds over itself. It goes from a tablet to a phone. And it's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, if you skip back, oh yeah, there it is. See, and it folds into a phone. Amazing.
Amazing. So yes, the biggest mobile phone news of the day is this foldable phone that we've been hearing about since 2013, and that we have no idea when it's coming, and it probably never will come, and it might not even be in color, but it's made of graphene. Graphene, that was all the rage in 2013. Graphene,
was it?
Strong, yes, that's what it is.
It's a big year for graphene.
Because that was when they discovered it, or discovered that it was the strongest, thinnest material that's also strong. So yeah, why do we need a folded phone? That is a mystery.
Well, if you watch that video closely, it's because if you have a foldable phone and you go to a cafeteria, it basically makes you a hunk. Like all the ladies want to get your phone number, which is what happens in that not cheesy at all Samsung promotional video.
Back from 2013.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. It's actually hilarious, and you should definitely look it up on YouTube because it continues to be awkward and hilarious to this day. But who knows why we need it? I mean, Samsung started on this kind of curved glass thing years ago. That led to the Edge, which had an edge on one side of the phone, that now, over the past few years, has moved to their entire product line in their premium smartphone line, and has really, I mean, Samsung was kind of at the forefront of this kind of bezel-less edge-to-edge display trend that is very big now. So who knows? Maybe Apple will come out with a foldable phone sometime in the future.
Perhaps they will.
Don't hold your breath, though. But also kind of related to this, just real quick, speaking of the Note, Samsung also said that the Note 8 pre-orders topped 650,000 units in just 4 days. Highest ever pre-orders for its Note series. It beat the Note 7 by 2.5 times. So any of this, like, oh no, Samsung's in trouble, especially with the Note series, because no one's going to buy a Note again because it's going to light on fire. Apparently that was a non-issue.
Well, ZDNet says the site Equifax is using for credit account monitoring is also vulnerable to hacking. Zack Whittacker of Zero says the Equifax site that you might be using to put alerts or freezes on your account is vulnerable to a cross-site scripting attack, which could leave you vulnerable to malicious code. The good news is that if you want to use Equifax, but if you want to sue Equifax, you don't want to use Equifax. No one wants to use Equifax. If you want to sue Equifax, but you don't want to hire a lawyer, Joshua Broder's Do Not Pay chatbot can help you sue for free, but only if you're in California or New York. So the ZDNet piece is interesting. The whole can be used, of course. Cross-site scripting attack then allows you to fish for people's information. Although presumably somebody already has it. Someone, we still don't know who that someone is or if they're going to release it or anything. You can make a phone call. You could call instead of using this website to put a freeze on your credit. But there's no confirmation that the people on the other end of the line are also using or not using this website that's insecure.
Equifax is so messy. This chatbot, of course, we talked about the developer of this chatbot in the past, Joshua Browder. It's the Do Not Pay chatbot. He was apparently on the list of those affected as well. And he says, I hope that my product will replace lawyers and with enough success, bankrupt Equifax. So, he's kind of wearing his heart on his sleeve there. Just a little bit.
Yeah, this is so messy. So, as we've talked about before, putting a freeze on your accounts costs money, but Equifax says they're going to not charge you to help secure yourself against their mistakes. So,
and that only took like an entire weekend of everybody flipping their lid over it and saying like, why should we have to pay because you suck?
Yeah.
Like you're the ones that didn't secure things and now you're going to pay us for a service to protect ourselves from the bad stuff that you did that didn't protect us at all. So thankfully they're at least giving into that. Another thing, and we actually talked about this, I can't remember if it was yesterday or last week, kind of the long laundry list of ways in which Equifax has just been horrible in this whole process. Yet another thing, if you're freezing your account, people who were freezing their account through Equifax over the weekend, they were given pins to hold on to for when they wanted to unfreeze, right? Those 10-digit pins were based specifically on the date and time that the freeze was set up. So, in other words, 090817 for September 8th, 2017, 1415 for 2:15 Eastern. So these pins that you're given to unfreeze your account and basically allow your credit to be pinged and queried and whatever can happen when your credit is unfrozen, is protected merely by this easy to hack, easy to guess date and time format. It's just ridiculous. Like,
it really is
so easy to randomize that and make it not based on anything or hash it of something more than that. It's just, they just keep dropping the ball. Google is in the crosshairs again for how it promotes its own services over others in search. This case, however, harkens back to 2011 when the FTC investigated the company for how it was pulling content from competing business listing sites like Yelp and augmenting its own services using that data. The FTC closed its investigation when Google agreed to not utilize scraped content from third-party sites like Yelp that chose to opt out of that scraping. Yelp did this at the time, but recently investigated and found that Google scraped Yelp's images 386,000 times in a single hour that was tested. Google also used Yelp images as the primary business listings within its search results in 110 out of 150 times tested. Yelp is calling for the FTC to reopen the case. And apparently Google's scraping commitment related to this was to last through to the end of 2017. But obviously that didn't last, and Yelp is calling them out for it. They also sent the letter to the EU's competition chief, which Google's in a lot of hot water. We talked about it yesterday in the EU. That's still going back and forth. So here we are again.
Yeah, I mean, Google's done a lot of this stuff. It's like it's become a pattern of behavior. Yelp says that in the past they also would Google would favor their own search their own sites over Yelp. Even if someone included Yelp in the query, if they were like restaurant reviews Yelp, it still would come up with a Google result. So they said they didn't do it on purpose. They'll fix it in a few days. But you know, I get it that it's, you know, it's just the way a lot of people's stuff is scraped for Google, you know, like, but when they're a direct competitor, it just doesn't seem right.
Right. And more that's coming under the crosshairs. Actually, Ben Smith, who's the editor-in-chief at BuzzFeed, wrote a really interesting article you should read if you haven't. It's called There's Blood in the Water in Silicon Valley. And basically it focuses on highlighting how the tide is turning for technology companies, the big behemoths, Google, Apple, Amazon, Facebook. Things are really shifting. It's a really big point right now where things are changing, shifting from brands that consumers adore above all else to kind of examples of overreach and manipulation, sometimes on a political level, Facebook, sometimes on a kind of an economic level, Amazon. And basically, Ben makes the point that oil prospectors, junk bond traders were both in similar dominant positions as technology companies like these are right now, to the point where you're like, I can't imagine it being any other way. They're just that big and influential, and you know, they command so much of the market. And those companies, you know, the political tides shifted on them too, and that really changed how those businesses operated. He's positing that we're kind of at a similar point right now with how technology companies are setting up. And of course, the political landscape now is a piece of that as well. But it's just an interesting time for technology companies being called out for this repeatedly, and big change could come as a result of it.
Google, don't be evil.
They dropped that a long time ago.
Right, but I can still tell them that, right?
Yes.
The Department of Transportation released new self-driving vehicle guidelines today. Department of Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao calls the new guidance a living document and says a flexible approach is the best for this emerging technology. Now, this means continuing with voluntary guidelines instead of enforceable rules to regulate autonomous vehicles. The full report, which is available online, focuses on cars with level 3 to 5 on the Society of Automotive Engineers scale. 5, of course, represents full automation, which I am ready for right now, please. In other self-driving news, the National Transportation Safety Board, or NHTSA, has determined that a May 2016 fatal Tesla crash showed that the limitations of the company's automated driver system, Autopilot, specifically the driver's inattentiveness due to his over-reliance on Autopilot. So not so good news, but I mean, just shows we need regulations. And I like that they're a living document because this is changing so fast.
Yeah, and that's what they're saying. Not formal regulations necessarily. It's guidelines. It's still very early for the development of this technology, so they don't want to set something in stone that very soon after, since it's just still emerging, they realize they have to make a big change because they were early to say that. Sam Abu-El-Samid, who's been on many times, wrote on Fortune that he thinks the biggest change is that manufacturers, at least with these changes, don't have to submit safety assessment letters to NHTSA, also not to federal approval, not for federal approval. It's not required. Prior to this, the safety assessment was completely voluntary, which basically meant that no one did it anyways. But with the elimination of level 2, that does mean, kind of interesting that these two stories are paired together, that Tesla Autopilot and GMC Super Cruise are not part of those guidelines because they fall into the level 2 category as it is. That's probably going to change because Tesla likes to push out updates that elevate the capabilities of it and everything. And
we should say that, and NHTSA also said that Tesla's Autopilot reduces accidents by 40%. So we're talking about a small number compared to, I mean, the goal of all of self-driving, you know, one of the biggest goals is to more safety on the roads.
For sure.
You know, fewer accidents. And there are going to be accidents, but they're going to be fewer than what happens now when I have to drive my own car.
Well, yeah, and car accidents outside of autonomous vehicles are happening all the time. We just don't hear about them every single time they happen because, I mean, cars have been around for a long time. There's an insane amount of cars on the roads. It's just the way it is. this is a new technology, and as such, this being the first time this happened, with the fatality involved, gets a lot of press, but it's not necessarily representative of how unsafe the entire category is. You just hear about it a lot because it's kind of early days, so stuff like that makes the news a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. After the break, the new Apple Watch will be able to alert you if your heart rate is up. Even when you're not exercising, you're going to need this feature when I tell you how much that new iPhone costs. But first, let's take a minute to thank Rocket Mortgage, the sponsor of this episode. If you want to buy yourself the new iPhone X or iPhone 10.
Yes, get used to that.
iPhone 10. Don't call it iPhone X. I'll mock you. You might want to put off buying that new house that you've had your eye on. Or you might want to find an easy way to get the right mortgage for you. And that's why Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. Rocket Mortgage gives you the confidence you need when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. It's simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident that you're getting the right mortgage designed and crafted just for you. It's also convenient. Their trusted partners allow you to share your financial information with Rocket Mortgage at the touch of a button or the touch of a screen if you're talking about the new iPhone. It's powerful when you're looking to buy your first home or your 10th. Rocket Mortgage knows what you need. They are able to perform thousands of calculations in just a few seconds. Based on your income, your assets, and your credit, Rocket Mortgage can analyze all of the home loan options for which you qualify and then find the one that's right for you. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/TNT. That's rocketmortgage.com/TNT. Don't forget to add that TNT at the end so they know that we sent you. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLS consumeraccess.org, number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support of this show. Now, you no doubt already know that the biggest news was not that Samsung foldable phone. Jason wishes it was. The biggest news is that Apple held its fall event this morning, christening the Steve Jobs Theater on Apple's new Cupertino campus. Let's do a rundown of the most important stuff. First, Apple Park, described as open, transparent, purpose-built, and powered by 100% renewable energy. I could not help but think that all those images I saw of reporters inside the glass spaceship looked a bit like The Rapture, if you've ever seen that. I mean, if you have ever seen The Rapture, let me know. But it's what I imagine The Rapture looks like. And then they descended the stairs into the underground theater. I was legitimately afraid that they would never come back out again.
How do we know that they haven't?
I know, because they've been tweeting. I had many conversations.
Okay. All right.
I know. I mean, you could tweet inside there, but I've seen pictures of them outside of the theater. So I know many of them have made it out. I don't know if all of them have made it out, actually. I can't confirm. What did you think of the new theater?
It was a theater. I don't know. Hey, Apple has an eye for design, and it definitely looks different. I have a hard time judging the theater itself because it was so dark in there for the most part. So it looked like a stage with a bunch of seats and a heck of a lot of people packed in there. They definitely have their home for these events now, and it's a little bit more airy than that little space that they've been holding some of their events in, that even on the live stream feels a little more claustrophobic. So that was cool. But the outside, kind of like the lobby area and just the made of glass, the whole, surrounded by glass aspect of it was really cool looking.
So this theater was a passion for Steve Jobs. And so that part of that part was really interesting to me. I have been a fan of Steve Jobs. I mean, whatever, people complain about his personal life and blah, 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 but he created an object that really has changed the world in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as this campus is concerned, it's interesting from my own personal perspective, it's very interesting because I remember years ago when Steve Jobs was still alive, covering, I think it was on Tech News Today when Tom Merritt was here, talking about Steve Jobs and his presentation about this futuristic spaceship, type campus and everything. And it's just weird because I have that very vivid memory of how outlandish, but how you knew it was going to happen eventually, but how outlandish it seemed at the time. And wow, this is Apple. What are they going to come up with? And now we're starting to kind of see the fruits of all that labor. The reality of it is that it exists. There's 175 acres on this campus, 9,000 trees sprinkled throughout. This has got to be a really interesting place to visit. And I'm slightly jealous of all the people that got to be there firsthand to kind of see how big the whole space is.
Well, I mean, Swamp Rat in the chat room, and also Eric Duckman in the chat room have been talking about this is free advertising for Apple. They're just getting free publicity. And yes, I mean, make no mistake, this is a marketing event, and people get really excited about it. And that's everyone's right to get excited about whatever they want to get excited about. It's not, I mean, the iPhone isn't, I mean, in some ways, the iPhone changed the world, but not in a lot of the world still needs a lot of changing that the iPhone's not going to be able to change. So, there's a bigger world out there. But the point of like making fun of the people that are really excited or really upset about how everything was leaked, people get to get joy from whatever they want to get joy from.
Yeah,
I think.
True.
So next came the rather underwhelming, in my opinion, new Apple Watch OS 4 and the Apple Watch 3. Watch OS 4 comes out September 19th, and it'll be available to all Apple Watch owners, Series 1, Series 0, Series 2. It'll include some new reminders about irregular heartbeats, different workout options, and the ability to sync your watch with your fitness equipment. The Series 3 Apple Watch will be available to pre-order on September 15th, and it starts shipping on September 22nd. It will include cellular, which Apple was not calling LTE. They were calling it cellular. I don't know if that's maybe just a nicer sounding, softer, less techie word, but you won't have to get a new phone number. But Apple didn't say if there would be an additional charge, and it does work only with a few characters, only in some countries. They also did assure all of you, I know all of us were concerned about this, you will now be able to take calls while you are surfing. And so I know that's been really important. Talk about changing the world. And they did a funny demo where there was a woman paddleboarding while she was talking on her watch. I mean, it would have been I think it would have been better if a giant shark had swallowed her up and then she could still be taking the call. Like inside the belly of, probably a whale would be better. Like inside the belly of a whale. That's what I need to be able to take calls. I'll try it in the shower and see if it works. So, yeah, you'll also be able to stream Apple Music without your phone straight to your watch. They haven't said whether you'll be able to stream from other music services from your watch. I'm guessing no.
Yeah, I'm guessing no. Although, I mean, I would imagine eventually they'd allow you to do that, right? They want you to have the ability to use your watch in other ways than just their music service, right? Right? This is Apple we're talking about. So you weren't excited by this? I mean, LTE is a big change, right? It allows you to be disconnected from your phone, go on a run with your watch, and have it stream all the music, so that you don't have to rely on things that are stored on the device.
I don't have to bring my phone. Yeah. I guess Scooter X in the chat room says it's going to cost $10 extra. So yeah,
per month. Yeah,
per month. Is that worth $10 extra for me? I've gotten used to carrying my phone with me. I mean, but it would be nice if I didn't want to, if I just wanted to go out. I think it would be nice to just go places without my phone, to feel untethered by my phone. I'm looking to cut that tie a little bit, cut that umbilical cord.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a trend right now of people trying to remove themselves from their phone a little bit so that they aren't always staring into a screen or hugging it as if it were a pillow, which I guarantee you, which is what Megan is doing right now, I guarantee you that is not a comfortable pillow.
I'm not talking, I'm just loving
it's warm.
My iPhone 7.
Warm, isn't it? One thing that's interesting in the Apple Watch, though, it's the first implementation of an eSIM, an electronic SIM. It's soldered into the board, no need for a card. Usually they have a little card slot that you pop a SIM into, and that takes space. So that saves space. It also helps to keep the thickness of the 3 basically down to pretty much the same thickness as the 2. So that's good. However, those who like openness and flexibility probably might not like this as much. It's just kind of another example of how Apple really kind of relinquishes, how you're giving your control to Apple, right? Because they kind of control the SIM aspect. They control the headphone aspect. Control.
I guess so. I mean, yes, that is, I hadn't looked at it that way. I was just amazed. It's this tiny SIM that it makes your watch the same size. Like that is to me, yes, I drank that Kool-Aid. It's a masterful design that it can be the same size, because you've tried those other LTE watches and they're giant and heavy, and your arms and my arms are different sizes. So like I could never wear one of those watches.
Yeah, keeping it this size. That's what it's all about. At least that's the positive aspect of this for consumers is it's not going to be this huge weight on your wrist compared to the other versions of this, even though it has the LTE antenna.
Because it's true that Apple does like to hide the fact that you can, take your SIM out of your iPhone. And, that's something that you're very comfortable doing.
Yeah, well, I do it all the time on the Android side.
And
of things,
I don't
sure.
think about it. So Series 3 with GPS, $329. Series 3 with GPS and cellular, $399, and it sounds like at least $10 more a month.
Did they explain the red digital crown, or is it just a style thing?
I guess maybe it's to show that it has the LTE. Okay. I mean, it's a style. That's what's different about it. Although I don't know if the Series 3 without cellular doesn't have that. No, they didn't explain why. Except for calling it the red badge of courage.
Oh, okay. Courage. There it is again.
Apple TV 4K is here finally. It contains the A10X chip, which is the same chip powering the newest iPad Pro. The surprising news is that Apple will sell 4K movies on iTunes for the same price that they sell HD movies. Plus, you can automatically upgrade all HD movies to 4K for free, the ones that you already own and have paid for.
Wow.
And we had heard that as recent as last month, Apple was still arguing with the movie studios about this. The Apple TV 4K will be available to pre-order on September 15th, and it will start shipping on September 22nd. It starts at $179. You can pay for a bigger hard drive for your Apple TV, but I don't know why you would need that. I'm fine. I have the regular Apple TV, and everything streams, so I'm not sure what this. Maybe if you have a lot of games, I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's probably actually it. Because because they did try to make the case again for this being a nice kind of gaming aspect.
They keep trying
in your living room, and that would be exactly what that extra storage is for, because it's got to go somewhere. The HD 4K deal really surprised me. The fact that they were able to negotiate with the content creators, the studios behind all this content, that there would be no upsell in price between the HD and the 4K. I didn't see that coming. So that just really kind of seems to illustrate Apple's prowess in that regard in making these deals, because it really didn't seem, especially according to the rumors, it didn't seem like that's what was going to happen. So that was a big surprise.
And finally, we get the iPhone. We get to the iPhone or iPhones. First, the iPhone 8, which I have been calling the bridesmaid iPhone, as in always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Also because they showed it off in rose gold, like a bridesmaid dress that you'll never wear again. You know what I'm talking about, Jason, don't you?
Totally.
I guess that's not really rose gold. Whatever it is, grayish gold. Anyway, the new iPhone 8 is a bit, I don't know. It's a bit of an also-ran, or, that's what I'm thinking anyway. It comes in regular and plus size. It has a Retina HD display, the A11 Bionic chip with 4.3 billion transistors.
Sorry, the Bionic Man sound. I couldn't
make it again.
It.
Good work.
Okay.
This phone's customized for AR, of course, the AR kit. It has a glass back and fingerprint Touch ID. You can charge it wirelessly, which was one of the many Apple announcements that got a lot more applause than I personally believe was warranted. Basically, it means it just supports Qi charging, which has been around for quite a while with Android phones, and lets you set your phone down on a pad instead of having to plug it in. Not a huge difference, but I mean, it is wireless. If you think about all those times that you have to find the lightning cables get stolen from my house so often. So I guess I'm excited about this, but they did not invent it.
No, Apple doesn't necessarily need to invent things. Sometimes they just come out with it after the fact, and the fact that they're supporting it ends up being a big deal, which totally this is the case with wireless charging. Yes, it's existed before, but people who love wireless charging or people go crazy for the idea of wireless charging. It's not something that's really caught my imagination at this point. Like, I don't have a wireless charging pad, and I'm pretty certain once I do cross that line, I'll really understand why people go crazy for this. But at the same time, I do know that I have the corner in my bedroom that has all these little wires that just hang out on the floor waiting for me to plug my devices in there at the end of the night. And it would be kind of nice. Like, they have the AirPower wireless charging mat. No price, no release other than next year. But they demonstrated how you can set your iPhone on top of it, and then put your Apple Watch on top of it also, and then put your AirPods case on it to charge that, and it's just a pad that you set it all on, and it all charges up. And yeah, that's a lot easier than having to plug it in. Is it essential? Probably not. But once you do it, it's really easy to see the value, I think.
That was my least favorite. I was booing inside at that Air. First of all, calling it Air Power, it's just funny. I mean,
Air Power.
Also, they're like, oh, we have this thing that already exists, but you can get ours next year at some point. Everyone's like, yay, next year we can get something that already exists. And the AirPods, which are already expensive, you have to buy an extra case. Like, the regular case isn't going to work.
It.
No, a special sold separately case. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
I give a thumbs down to the Air Power kit, but I am spoiled. I have a lovely little stand by my bed that does my Apple Watch and my iPhone, and it has the little lightning cable that just sticks up. So I just go and stick it in, and then I lay my Apple Watch on there, and I don't have to deal with the wires by my bed. So, I mean, that is the one thing too. Like, there are a lot of like independent Apple accessory companies that are very cool, and then I worried that, you know, that this might be something. But I mean, I think, because what happened with the Apple Watch in the beginning, you couldn't make your own Apple Watch charger. Like, they wouldn't let you do that. Like, it was Apple standards. They wouldn't let you put that little pad in anything. You had to, they had to make these chargers that would like MacGyver it. So you'd have to stick the Apple Watch charger.
Take the one you already had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what I fear is going to go on with here. But if it's just Qi charging and it's a standard, then anybody can
that
make
it would be a standard, like a Qi charging standard. Yeah, that's kind of feels a little non-Apple for them to do that. But that would be great, because that's choice. And I like choice. And yeah, glass on the front, on the back. Obviously, that's a big design change from what we have right now, and this, to kind of make it set it apart. That's also what enables it to have wireless charging. But, you know, the truth is, this will never be the best of this year. Like, all iPhone models that have come out, for the most part, have been the next big thing. And this is the first kind of model that comes out and instantly plays second fiddle to its more popular sibling. Yeah, I mean, even the iPhone SE came out at a different time. Yeah, you know, and it came out as kind of like, it was specifically tailored to be less than the others. You know what I mean? In any other year, if the thing that we're going to talk about next didn't exist, that one more thing, this would be the big upgrade. Yeah. Although there wouldn't be a whole lot to this upgrade, but this would be the big upgrade, and it would reign supreme for a year. But that's not happening this time. So we're complaining that it didn't get its moment in the spotlight. But we would have complained if they'd given it a whole moment in the spotlight. We would have been like, not enough. That is what we do. Yeah. Yes. So that one more thing, which Steve Jobs always used to say, and Tim Cook said, he said it again, and they hadn't said it in a while, but he said, did it feel okay coming from Tim? It felt okay coming from Tim, and he said he doesn't take this lightly. Yeah. They don't apparently take it cheaply either. The iPhone 10, spelled with an X. iPhone 10, spelled with an X. I see what they did. Roman numerals. I get it. Yes. And like everybody who says OS X, whenever anyone says OS X, I'm like, oh, that's not OS X. I'm a flip-flopper. I got to go between both. It's not like Jif and Jif. It's OS 10. There's not a question. It's OS 10 and it's iPhone 10, and never call it iPhone X as I did earlier. I will be punished. It has a Super Retina display, no bezels,
surgical grade steel on the front and surgical grade steel on the sides. So you could perform surgery with this iPhone 10.
Wow, it's a pretty blunt object. I don't know if you want to try that.
I'm totally going to perform surgery when I get this. It has glass on the front and the back. The screen is 5.8 inches on the diagonal, 2.7 million pixels. The camera also includes depth sensing technology and studio quality photo effects. And without a place for the home button or a fingerprint scanner, the iPhone 10 relies on Face ID, which is facial recognition to unlock your phone, even in the dark. To do that, the camera includes something called a flood illuminator that will magically draw dots all over your face. And if you're worried that it could be tricked with a photo or a creepy wall of lifelike masks, worry no more. The only thing that can trick Face ID is an evil twin or any kind of twin, which I have, so it's not secure in my home. But by the way, I'm not going to be buying my 12-year-olds this $1,200 iPhone anytime soon. Save your allowance, boys. So yeah, it starts at $999. I don't think we mentioned the iPhone 8. That is 64 gigs, starts at $699 and $799 for the iPhone 8 Plus, and just goes up from there. So yeah, you can pre-order it October 27th, available 11/3, which is interesting because they could have just had you be able to pre-order it on September 15th, like you're pre-ordering everything else. But obviously, they're letting the people who have to have it now, give them time to buy the iPhone 8, which isn't that much cheaper, really. I mean, it's $300 if you're talking about something you use every day, and if you talk about most of the carriers pay monthly, like it's hardly any difference between the bridesmaid phone and the bride phone, as I will call them. So yeah, it looks nice. That notch, that notch looks to me like the round smartphone. I mean, the round smartwatch, that flat tire on the smartwatch. You just don't
like it, huh?
That notch gives me a little bit of a sickness in my stomach.
Would you rather have, because all that stuff up there is necessary in order for the face unlock, Face ID to happen, would you rather the display on the sides of the notch come down so that the notch isn't there? Because that would be the alternative. And then you just have a chin up there.
Yeah, a chin.
Or forehead. I guess is what it would be. Would you rather the forehead than
I don't know.
notch?
I mean, you have to say, do you get used to it or not?
Yeah,
like
I think
you don't know.
I
think, but Leo says nobody got used to. Like lots of people never got used to that flat tire on the Android watch. Did you?
I definitely got to the point to where I didn't notice it. However, when I would see future watches, I would hope that it wouldn't be there. You know what I mean? But I used the Moto, man, it's been so long, I'm forgetting what it was called, the Moto Wear watch, for quite a while. And, talking like almost a couple of years. And yeah, I got used to the flat tire. I got to the point to where I didn't see it. But I definitely didn't want flat tires on future watches if I could avoid it. But it was there for a very specific technical reason. It had a sensor in there that sensor couldn't be there if the flat tire wasn't there in that particular design. So I think the 3D mapping, how it learns over time. It's got a little machine learning happening thanks to the processor on board. It doesn't use straight image recognition. It all relies on what you said, the dots that are projected onto the face and a whole lot of other things. It also requires your attention, which that was a question that came up. Okay, so could I just unlock your phone by holding your phone up to your face for a second and get right in? If I was a police officer and I wanted to get in your phone, is it that easy? It requires attention, which means you need to be looking at it. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there are ways to trick someone into looking at their phone and doing that. So there is a point of insecurity there, but curious to see how it works.
Well, I mean, that's not insecurity necessarily, like that a police officer could hold up the phone to you. I wouldn't call that an insecurity.
Well, it's a way to force you to open up your phone without you having any sort of interaction whatsoever.
Right, but like with a police officer or like someone who's trying to steal the stuff off your phone?
Both.
Because like there are rights that police officers follow, so maybe you have to figure out
there are rights that police officers should follow. You're right.
Yes. Whereas anybody at any time could take, your thumb and put it on there, or anyone who's trying to pressure you could do that. But
I think it remains to be seen how easy this will be to get access. If it's literally just as easy as pointing it at someone's face, that seems like a pretty insecure kind of solution potentially. It makes it really easy. Well, yeah, there's that, but eventually you got to open your eyes, right?
No.
Eventually, someday, the rest of your life, eyes closed.
Well, is the rest of your life a police officer holding the phone?
The rest of my life is don't get into my phone because I don't want you in my phone, whoever you are.
Do you have something you're trying to hide from the police, Jason Howell?
No, I'm just saying.
No, I know.
And we talk about insecurity and we talk about access all the time, and this is something to consider. Any amount of security, any secure implementation on your device, if it's not a PIN, you have to ask yourself whether it's worth the convenience. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Ask yourself that question. It's an important question to ask yourself. On a different topic, though, I really like Animoji.
I like the Animoji. I think that is why we're friends, because we both like Animoji so much. So the Animoji used AR. Yeah. And it's sort of like it will be also used in Snapchat to make the Snapchat filters even better, or the face filters even better than they already are. But then you could it looks at your face, and you can be an animated chicken emoji, an animated panda emoji, an animated monkey emoji. And it was pretty amazing. So these are to be used in iMessage. So I can't wait to send them to you, where it's just
totally send them to me.
Message sent with an emoji.
And on my end, on an Android phone, I'll get in parentheses, shaking head back and forth and then nodding up and down unicorn.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Sad. I'm sure that Apple will let this be cross-platform with Android, except they never will do that.
No. I mean, how would they do that? Convert it into an animated GIF and send it? I don't know. Maybe.
They'll never do it.
I know. This is one of those things that's like, this is a perk of being in the iOS world.
I guess that means you're going to get, not a perk of being in the iOS world. This is a perk of being in the, I'm going to spend $1,000 on an iPhone. This is just in the iPhone 10.
Oh, man. You send that to all your friends just to show them, see, I did that. That means I've got the phone.
Right. So it's basically, that's an emoji that's an animated emoji that says, I am rich.
Yes, exactly. All right. There we go.
That is the end until next fall, or until, we get, it remains to be seen what phone. I'm not buying any of these phones. And it's sort of like they've gone beyond the McDonald's menu. McDonald's keeps their menus small so that it's not difficult for people to make choices. But there's a lot of choices now. Yeah. So it remains to be seen what phone Leo thinks that he needs and which phone he thinks I need. And it will be a surprise to all of us.
One of my wife's business partners just upgraded his iPhone like 3 weeks ago. She told me that this morning. I was like, man, I needed to talk to him for just a second and tell him, you never do that at this time of year.
I know.
Because his phone is instantly out of date. Actually, it was more than 3 weeks ago because he can't return it. I think it was a month ago.
Oh, yeah.
So it's depressing.
As I've said
before, if you've held out, you're okay.
Well, Marco has been holding on to his iPhone 5C and I thought he would go to his grave with it, but he says he's ready to upgrade. It has 8 gigs of memory on it. You can't download anything.
What?
So he doesn't want the big phone. So I think we're going to go for the iPhone SE for him. But we'll see. TNT's fan of the day is Spencer Weingarten on Twitter, who sent us this picture saying this is how he watches TNT.
Yeah,
that is a lot.
That's a jumble of screens right there. And they're layered. Like, I could never do that, having one screen in front of the other screen in front of the other screen. I respect that you can do that, Spencer. Yeah. I could not do that.
I mean, why would you? You're wasting so much monitor space.
I know. But, maybe it's a compact desk. Let's troubleshoot Spencer's desk layout.
I know. And what does Spencer do? He's got a map of the United States on there.
Let's check his email.
Is that Twitter that's going on there? Thank you, Spencer. We'll stop being creepy and we won't read your email. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT, and we promise not to read your email on the show. I might read it other times. Read it, not read it. You know what I mean. Record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup. Post it to Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. Add some rich people and emojis and call it a day. Use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT and we're going to find it.
All right, here's a quick one for the end here. Hey, those of you all sad and disappointed that you weren't fast enough or lucky enough to purchase Nintendo's NES Classic last year because they didn't make enough and sold out before you could throw down a credit card every single time you tried, don't lose any more sleep. All you have to do is wait for next summer and you'll have another shot at NES greatness. No word on whether it will be the same collection of games, the same price of $59 or anything else really, but you'll get another chance sometime next summer. That's all you have to do is wait another year. So please be patient, lucky you.
I can be patient for it.
Yeah, you don't care.
No.
You're like, I have no care whatsoever about the NES Classic.
I care about it because you care about it.
I do care about it, even though I'm not going to buy it. I care about it. I care that it exists. And I care that you want one. You, I'm talking to you, listening or watching. You're going to get another chance. So you go. TNT records live every Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 2300 UTC at twit.tv/live. Be part of the show by emailing us, tnt@twit.tv. You can leave us a short voicemail, 260-TNT-SHOW, and you can find us on Twitter at TechNewsTodayTV.
And I have a really big favor to ask you. Okay, you ready? Subscribe to our show.
Okay.
twit.tv/TNT. I assume you are already, you're not subscribed yet? Look, he'll show how easy it is. Just type it in.
Then you
choose, you want video,
subscribe.
audio.
You can't see this, but it's on my screen. Choose provider, RSS, or Google Play Music. Subscribe. Done.
Good. Thank you. See how easy that was? Do it. Go do it. Even if you watch live, go subscribe. And I am Megan Maroney, and you may tweet at me with all your old-fashioned emojis, all your unanimated emoji. You know I love them. I will download Bitmoji and do that right away. Okay. I'm at Jason Howell on Twitter. Thanks to our technical director, Kevin. Are you editing? I'm just going to ask you this every day. Yeah, Josh isn't here today. Oh, Josh isn't here today. Poor Josh. He's not going to get thanked. That's what he gets. No thank you, Josh. No thanks to you, Josh, but thanks to Kevin for editing and for TDing. Thanks to Burke for helping out here in the studio. Thanks to Flo for sitting over there and working. And thanks to you for talking tech with us today. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.